Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MA English Cafe. I'm Ben.
And I'm Jenny. It is so good to have you with us. Today, we're diving into a topic that is full of nostalgia, strong opinions, and maybe a little bit of controversy. We're talking about childhood, then versus now.
The big one. The classic image of the good old days versus the modern digital world. It's a huge topic.
It is. When I think about my childhood, I get this vivid picture of playing outside with friends, building forts out of cardboard boxes, and the only rule being be home before the streetlights come on. There was a sense of freedom, of unguided discovery. We were bored sometimes, and in that boredom, we had to invent our own fun. There was a certain magic to being completely unplugged.
I get that. I really do. The nostalgia is powerful. But then I see my 7-year-old nephew, and he's not building a fort with cardboard. He's building an entire world in Minecraft that's more complex than I could have imagined at his age. He's using a tablet to learn basic coding, to watch documentaries about dinosaurs, and to video call his grandparents who live 1,000 miles away. Is his childhood worse, or is it just different?
That's the central question. But you can't ignore the concerns that every parent talks about now. Screen time, the lack of physical activity, the dangers of social media. We hear stories about kids who don't know how to interact face-to-face because they're so used to communicating through a screen. That's a genuine worry.
It is a worry, but I think it comes from a place of fear of the unknown. And I have a perspective on this that some people might find a bit controversial. I firmly believe that we should be encouraging kids to interact with technology from a young age. This is the world they are going to live and work in. Keeping them away from tablets and computers is like refusing to teach a child how to read a book in the 1800s because you preferred telling stories orally.
Wow, that's a strong stance. So you're saying we should just hand them the devices and let them go. What about the studies on attention spans and the need for imaginative play?
It's not about letting them go without guidance, but to me, the idea that a purely offline childhood is inherently better is outdated. These things, coding, digital communication, navigating online information, these are the essential skills of the 21st century. The sooner they start learning the language of this new world, the more prepared they will be for the future. We can't prepare them for the future by only giving them the tools of our past. And this is a reality we have to deal with. So the question isn't if they should use technology, but how.
Okay, you've definitely laid out a clear point of view. It's a compelling argument that technology is the future. I think a lot of people struggle with that idea because they see the immediate downsides. We want to hear from our audience on this. What do you think? Let us know your opinion in the comments below. And if this is a topic you're interested in, please hit the like button and subscribe to MA English for more discussions like this.
Absolutely. I think to really understand this, we need to move past the simple tech is bad, outside is good argument, and look at the actual pros and cons of both eras of childhood.
So let's break it down, starting with the childhood we remember, the so-called good old days. The biggest advantage, for me, was the development of social skills in an unfiltered environment. When you're playing a game in the street, you have to negotiate the rules, you have to handle disagreements, you learn to read body language and tone of voice. You can't just log off if you get upset.
That's a fair point. There's a certain resilience you build from that. You fall off your bike, you scrape your knee, you get back up. No one is there to give you instant gratification or an easy win like in a video game. You learn to deal with frustration. This whole concept of free-range parenting, where kids had more independence, certainly fostered a sense of self-reliance.
Exactly! And what about imagination? When you have nothing but a few sticks and a patch of dirt, you have to create worlds. A stick becomes a sword, a hero's staff, a magic wand. That empty canvas forces creativity in a way that a highly structured app or game might not. It teaches you to entertain yourself. a skill that is incredibly valuable in adult life.
I agree with all of that, but we can't romanticize it completely. There's a flip side. While we remember the fun, we forget the times we were genuinely, painfully bored. We also forget the safety concerns. The world wasn't magically safer back then. We were just less aware of the dangers. And for a shy or introverted kid, that unstructured social environment could be really tough. It was easy to feel left out or bullied, with no escape. Access to information was also incredibly limited. If I wanted to learn about space, I had to hope our family encyclopedia had a good section on it.
That's true. Access to knowledge is a huge difference, which brings us to the pros of a modern childhood, which I know is your area of expertise.
Chuckles. Well, it's where I see the most potential. The access to information is staggering. A child with a tablet can virtually visit any museum in the world, learn any language through an app, watch live videos from the International Space Station. This isn't just a small improvement. It's a revolutionary leap in educational opportunity. It sparks curiosity in a way a dusty encyclopedia never could.
Okay, that's a powerful point. The educational potential is undeniable.
And it's not just about consuming information, it's about creating. Kids are making movies, composing music, designing games, and writing blogs. These tools empower them to be creators, not just passive consumers. And I stand by my earlier point. This is job training for the future. The kid who learns to code an app at 10 is the innovator who will be designing our world at 30. We need to see it as a new form of literacy. Of course, this has to be balanced. I'm not saying they should spend their entire day on a screen. They absolutely must play sports, run outside, and have real-world interactions. The key isn't elimination, it's integration.
But Ben, we have to talk about the very real downsides. The concept of instant gratification is a huge one. When you can get a dopamine hit from a like on a post or from leveling up in a game, it can make the slow, often frustrating process of learning a real-world skill, like playing the piano, seem boring and unrewarding. It can fundamentally change a child's brain chemistry and attention span.
I don't disagree that it's a risk, but that's where parenting comes in. That's the how we deal with it. It's our job to teach them balance, to set limits, to have conversations about what they're seeing online. The solution isn't to ban the technology, it's to teach digital citizenship and critical thinking. We teach them to be responsible users, not to be afraid of the tool.
So it's about finding a healthy balance. Regulated screen time, encouraging a mix of digital and physical play, and keeping an open dialogue about their online world. If these tips are helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us know what content you enjoy.
It really is all about balance. The best of the past with the incredible opportunities of the present. I think some funny stories might really highlight these differences.
Okay, speaking of the past, I have a classic story that perfectly sums up an unplugged childhood. My friends and I decided we were going to build the most epic treehouse ever in the woods behind my house. We spent a whole week gathering scrap wood, old blankets, and rusty nails. The final structure was, well, it was a disaster. It was wobbly, the roof leaked, and I'm pretty sure it was a major safety hazard.
I can just picture it.
But we didn't care. In our minds, it was a castle. We felt so accomplished. The funniest part was when my dad came to inspect it. He took one look, very seriously said, "Impressive engineering," and then quietly took it apart the next weekend while we were away, claiming a big storm had blown it down. We were devastated for about 5 minutes, and then we moved on to digging a giant hole for no reason. That was it. The process was the fun part.
That's a great story. It reminds me of the modern equivalent I saw with my nephew. He was at my house, and I handed him a physical photo album to look at. He put his little fingers on a picture of his grandpa and tried to zoom in by pinching the photo. He looked up at me with genuine confusion when the picture didn't get bigger. His first instinct was that the paper was a broken screen.
Oh, that is brilliant. It shows how their brains are just wired differently from the start. They see the world as an interactive interface. I saw something similar with my friend's daughter. She's 5, and she was trying to get a cookie from the cookie jar on the top shelf. After trying to climb and failing, she just stood in the middle of the kitchen and said very clearly, "Hey Google, can you get me a cookie?"
No way, that's hilarious. It's not laziness, it's just pure logical problem solving for her generation. Why climb when you can just ask the invisible helper in the ceiling for assistance? It makes perfect sense to her. It's like when we were kids and we would spend hours trying to build the perfect Lego car. I remember I once built this spaceship that I was convinced could fly. I took it to the top of the stairs, threw it, and it just shattered into 100 pieces.
Oh, the heartbreak.
Total heartbreak. But just like your treehouse, the joy was in the building, the imagining. And I see that same joy in my nephew when he finally beats a difficult level in a game he designed himself, or when he creates a stop-motion video with his toys in an app. The tools have changed, but that fundamental spark of creativity and the pride of accomplishment are exactly the same. The challenge for parents is just making sure their kids get to experience both the Lego spaceship and the coding app.
That is the perfect way to put it. The goal is to give them the best of both worlds. The tools are different, but the heart of being a kid, playing, learning, and imagining is universal.
And that brings us to the end of our episode. We hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane and our look into the future.
Thanks for tuning in to the MA English Cafe.